The 1980s. The 1980s were a time of big hair, neon clothes, and after-school specials.
Regularly scheduled programming will not be seen at this time so that we may bring you an ABC after-school special.
These educational programs were designed to teach young viewers important life lessons, from the dangers of drug abuse to the importance of friendship. While these specials tackle serious topics, they often did so in a way that was, well, a little cheesy. Whether it was the melodramatic acting or over-the-top sound effects, there was always a hint of humor in these programs. So here's to you, after-school specials of the 1980s. We may laugh at your cheesy acting and dramatic sound effects now, but you'll always hold a special place in our hearts. The 1980s were also a decade of questionable fashion choices. It was also the era of glamour shots.
You want to give him something for Valentine's Day that he'll treasure forever? Then give him yourself, all wrapped up in glamorous color portraits from Glamor Shots High Fashion Photography.
If you're not familiar with glamour shots, imagine a heavily made-up person posing seductively in front of a fuzzy airbrushed background. It was the ultimate in cheesy glamour. Back then, getting a glamour shot was a rite of passage for many teenagers and adults alike. It was a chance to feel like a movie star, if only for a few minutes. And let's face it, who wouldn't want to be immortalized in a photo with soft lighting and a misty filter? But perhaps the most hilarious aspect of glamour shots was the posing. People would contort their bodies into all sorts of awkward positions in an attempt to look sexy. Looking back on these photos now, it's hard not to cringe a little bit. But let's be honest, there's a certain charm to them as well. The shopping malls and those shoe stores of the 1980s. Back then, shoe stores were a big deal. They weren't just a place to buy shoes, they were an experience. You walked in and you were hit with a scent of fresh leather and rubber. The 80s were the heyday of the athletic shoe, and stores like Foot Locker and the Athlete's Foot were the go-to spots for the latest kicks. Remember those bright, colorful Reebok high tops with the Velcro straps? Or the Nike Air Jordans that every kid on the block had to have? But it wasn't just about athletic shoes, there were also stores like Kinney Shoes, where you could find dress shoes, loafers, and even penny loafers. And don't forget about the Payless shoe stores where you could get a pair of shoes for under $10. Sure, they might not have been the most stylish shoes, but they got the job done. One thing that hasn't changed about shoe stores is the requirement to try on shoes before you buy them. You just didn't grab a pair off the shelf and try them on yourself. No, that was too easy. You had to sit there and wait for the salesperson to bring you the shoes, which gave you plenty of time to contemplate whether or not you really needed yet another pair of shoes.
Some waves in life are more popular than others, like an ocean wave, or a stadium wave, or just a friendly wave. But when it comes to waterbeds, some people don't like waves.
Back in the 80s, waterbeds were the ultimate in luxury sleeping. They were like a giant water balloon that you slept on, and let's face it, what could be cooler than that? One of the best things about waterbeds was the way they conformed to your body. Another perk of waterbeds was that they were great for other activities. Let's just say they had a certain reputation for being a little naughty. But let's not get too graphic here. This is, after all, a family-friendly video. The 1980s. A time when the only way to watch a movie at home was to rent it from the video rental store. These stores were like magical portals to the world of cinema, and they were a staple of many communities across the country. These places were like mini museums of pop culture, with posters and cardboard cutouts of all your favorite movies and stars. Then there was the process of renting a movie. You had to find the movie you wanted, take it up to the counter, and then wait while the clerk scanned the barcode, and let's not forget the late fees. If you didn't return the movie on time, you could end up owing more money than you spent on popcorn and soda at the movie theater. They may be gone now, replaced by streaming services and online rentals, but they'll always hold a special place in our hearts of movie lovers everywhere. Just don't forget to be kind and rewind.
Introducing RCA's new 900, the first remote programmable video cassette recorder. It asks you
Before streaming services and digital downloads, there was the trusty VCR. First of all, let's talk about the process of setting up a VCR. You had to plug in all sorts of cords and cables, and if you were lucky, you could get it to work on the first try. But if you were like most people, you probably spent hours tinkering with the settings and trying to figure out why the picture was so fuzzy and the sound was so garbled. The VCR was a true icon of 1980s technology. It may have been clunky and temperamental, but it also opened up a whole new world of entertainment for millions of people. So the next time you're feeling nostalgic for the good old days, dust off your VCR, pop in a tape, and settle in for a trip down memory lane. Just be prepared for the occasional fuzzy picture and mangled tape.
When you're running late and you can't find your keys, and the TV remote has vanished in the breeze.
Does the shoulder strap of your car cut into your
From the Snuggie to the Thighmaster, these products promise to revolutionize our lives and make everything easier, faster, and more convenient. There was that Ginsu knife, which could slice through a tomato like it was made of air. There was the Chia Pet, which promised to turn your windowsill into a garden of clay animals. And let's not forget the Flowbee, which allowed you to cut your hair at home with the precision of a professional barber, assuming you didn't accidentally suck your ear into the vacuum hose. Of course, there were some downsides to the as seen on TV phenomenon. For one thing, many of these products didn't actually work as advertised. It seemed like every commercial break was filled with pitches for miracle products that you just had to have. As we all know, the 1980s was a decade of bigger attitudes. And when it came to styling that voluminous mane, there was one product that reigned supreme: Aquanet. Aquanet was the ultimate hairspray of the 1980s. It was a must-have for anyone who wanted to achieve the perfect hairdo. But let's be real here, the main reason we all loved Aquanet was because it held our hair in place like nobody's business. And who can forget Columbia House? If you were a music lover in the 1980s, then chances are you were a member of this iconic mail-order music club. Columbia House was a mail-order music club that offered deals like 12 CDs for a penny or 5 cassettes for $1. It was the perfect way for music lovers to expand their collections without breaking the bank. But let's be honest, the real reason we all loved Columbia House was for the thrill of getting all those CDs or cassettes in the mail. It was like Christmas every time a new package arrived. And the best part was tearing open the packages and admiring the new additions to your collection. Looking back, it's hard to believe that we ever thought Columbia House was a good idea. But hey, it was the 80s. We didn't have Spotify or Apple Music. And besides, there was something special about flipping through those catalogs and selecting the next batch of music. So here's to you, Columbia House. Thanks for the memories, the jingles, and the challenge of trying to cancel our memberships. We may not miss the mail-order music club era, but we'll always remember the excitement of getting that package in the mail.